to another demo of RESTpoint. In this demo, we're going to take a look at adding some low-code logic so that we can make our API backend seem a little more realistic. So what we're going to do now is show you, if I take a look at my API right now, we have various paths. One thing is, if we go to take a look at our list of stocks, and I'm going to grab my execute this, hit the list of stocks, you'll see we have 3 stocks, Amazon, Tesla, and IBM. So what if we post a new stock now? So let's create a new one, and I'm going to create one called IBM. Now we don't want this to really happen. We don't want a duplicate stock, but right now nothing stops another one from entering. Oops. So when I do a post, and I'm not going to put an ID in here, and I'll show you something else. You'll see now the ID was created with a UUID. If an ID isn't specified, we do add in a UUID. So I'm going to now grab the list, execute the list of stocks, and you'll see now IBM is in there twice, this one with an ID. So let's delete this ID because we don't want it anymore. And then let's go in and add some logic in a second here. So I'm going to put in the ID, do a delete, and you'll see that delete was a 204. And now let's go back into our get, and I'm going to execute, and you'll see now we don't have that extra stock. Great. Let's go back to our API design, and now I'm going to come in and add some business logic. So let's go to our stocks, because we do not want to allow a duplicate stock to be created. So I'm going to add some logic onto the post. So what typically happens on any kind of backend software, request is sent, and then the backend executes some logic and usually updates some systems like a database or what have you. So this, we're allowed to add some, we're going to be able to inject some logic here, which sort of before we do any updating of backends like the database, and then after the database is updated, we can do some more logic. But we only need to add in the logic here before we update the database to say, whoa, don't add this stock if it's a duplicate. So this is just a little script helper that gives some examples and snippets. So I'm going to look at this one because I'm going to check that a ticker already exists in a collection. So I'm going to insert this, and sometimes when you inject this, you just have to read the logic and make sure you make any changes. So stocks is collection. A collection is something that's provided by the system, and that just means the collection currently that you're working with. So by assigning it to stocks, it just makes the code easier to read because you know that's the stocks. And object, that's a request object, again provided by the system. So I'm going to say if stocks has an object with, I think I'm going to use ticker instead of name. And then I'm going to say this stock already exists, and I'm going to put ticker because it's the ticker that is the one we want to check for. So when a post is called, this logic is implemented first before it goes and adds it to the database. So I'm going to update that logic, update first, and then we're going to hit a test. So if I was to come in here and hit IBM, then I'm going to put 10, and I'm going to put IBM again, and I'll say USA, and SE, and we're going to hit a test, and you'll see the stock already exists, IBM, close. So you see stock already exists. So we update our business logic. Now when I come back to our post that we had before, let's try to execute the same post again, post on the stock with IBM. So now when I execute, we now should see an error message comes up and says stock already exists, IBM. So that shows a little example of how you can start injecting logic. So we can inject it before databases update or after, and there's various other things. These are little helper statements, but you'll get a gist of how the actual scripting kind of works, and it's usually pretty low code, and you can follow it pretty easily. But that concludes this demo, where we just wanted to show an example of how you can very easily start putting in some real logic here to make your API backend be very close to what it will look like in the end. Thank you.